Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Skip Charge Podcast. We are all the way at episode 8. We think we were deliberating before we started recording. We think we're up to episode 8 now. And we're so happy that you're joining us. Got a couple of things in store for you this week. We're continuing a bit of our talk over finals because we are very, very close to beginning final season. So finally, we're going to have some lovely stuff to sink our teeth into over there. And then we're also going to be having a very brief discussion on the what cards we'd like to see come off the ban list. Bandai aren't particularly great at actually taking things off of there. They love to keep things on there, and as Pete's been pointing out quite a few times to them, they're probably not actually that great at putting things on their official website ban list that should be on there
Yeah,
as
I've def
well.
I've definitely been a little bit vocal about that. Just because the only reason is outside of my love for the game, I play so many games now that when I want to know what the ban list is, I anybody should be expected to go on the website and see it, right? We know what that card is, right? But officially, like if because I don't play Pokemon very often. I mean, there's not really a ban list. Well, there kind of was, but if I went on the website and go, okay, what cards are banned? I would not expect some random Facebook post to have a banned card that I don't know about and then show up and get DQ'd. Like that's just a shit player experience. Now, fair enough, Dragon Ball is a little bit less friendly in terms of like a new person picking it up, but the same principle. Let's say you played 3 years ago and you thought, you know what, I'm going to dip back in. I really like this U7 deck, and then you go, okay, I'm going to buy four of everything, and then you go, I can't play for this six drop. Never knew this because the website didn't say so, and you're not going to look at a Facebook post 6 months ago. Like stupid. I
Yeah,
hate it.
it's really interesting because I was doing like a bit of like prep basically for this segment. I was like going through, going, oh, what are the bank cards in there and everything? What's going on with it? And like genuinely, I forgot that like the six drop was limited, and also the little like trunks dude was limited
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
wasn't on the website, which I was using to track down what the ban list was and everything. But we will be digging into that a little bit later on. One of the things that is probably like a really nice starting point for us this week is that BT26, and it is a shocking turn of events. We've got BT26 over here in the UK before anybody else. Um,
Very
it-
rare UKW.
Well, I
Huge
guess we
W for the Masters community in the UK. We
I
have
guess we should add some of technically EU like Spain and stuff because we can't because when we say EU we can't include France in this because even though France is EU with us, it's not EU for the purpose of the game. But like, yeah, I think Spain has it and stuff. Well, yeah, they
BT26.
do. But
A slight UK, slight just kind of Europe win for us due to a couple of shipping delays. There's a few things missing. But we've had the chance to kind of at least have a couple of days worth of actually physically having the cards to test for BT26. And I don't know about you guys, but when I get down to testing, I really just need to have like I can't remember if I've said this on a previous podcast, but I need to have the cards in front of me. I need to shuffle them up properly. I need to like properly see the test hands. Look at that, there's Gogeta. Like I need to have it all there because I'll look at the cards on the screen and I just can't piece them together. I'm like, oh, this deck looks like shit because I can't physically watch all the combos play out. But like I've picked up Green Vegito recently, and I was kind of like, I think it's good, but we'll see. And it's only when I'm like playing through and learning the combos and seeing like different things I can do with it that I'm like, this deck is broken. What were they thinking making this deck? Um, like so it's like really really cool like actually having the cards and like
Mhm.
physically testing. Pete, I just saw obviously the Gogeta cards there on the screen. How has Gogeta been testing for you?
Yeah, very well. I mean, I'm very similar to what you're saying. Like I'll normally play on untap when it first gets revealed just to see how it feels. And then what I do is I then print them off as, proxies, like this is a proxy. Obviously it's not shiny, but it's a proxy. So then what I'll do is so like with blue Gogeta, I printed that off early doors and was practicing it. I know a lot of people don't print off decks or anything like that, and that's up to them. But the I like to test it before I spend my money. Now, in my case, I have like a subscription service on my ink. So if I don't use it, I lose it, kind of thing. So to me, the decks are free. So girl mass. So I get to practice the decks and then go, okay, I like this deck. So I go and then buy it. Or don't buy it, as the case might be. But yeah, just to go on more topic with the Gogeta, yeah, I think Gogeta is a very good deck. I don't know if it's the correct pick yet, but I think it's a very good deck, and generates the energy really well. It's got a lot of pressure. I think it's a very good deck.
Yeah, and Ollie, have you had a chance to track down the right cards? Any decks really speaking to you like early on with the cards in hand?
Yeah, I'm definitely very similar to you in the sense that I need to have the physical cards. I also don't own a printer, so I can't do what Peter does. And he gives me a lot of shit for it whenever we come to testing.
I do.
Because I'll be there with like my face down cards and like, oh, this Broly is not this green Broly, it's the blue Broly that's going in this deck, and all this random stuff.
Look, it's this Broly, and I've just beaten you with it. So, like, just
Yeah,
accept.
actually, I'm not. The Beast Gohan in my deck is actually a proxy for the other secret rare. So if you just trust me on that, I'm running Salzino, obviously.
I wouldn't even mind if you did it old school, where you just fucking get a piece of paper and write it, like
Unfortunately, I go through too many decks to do all of that. I can't be bothered. I'll just grab some like Broly from set 2 and put it in, and that's the Broly or the Gogeta SR or whatever.
And of course, when you proxy, you got to print off the alt leaders.
yeah, max rarity proxies, of course. World Stamp Beast printed out.
A rarity at its finest over here.
But yeah,
that'll be done, mate.
I've been testing some stuff from the new set. I had some really good fun on Super 17, but the deck just feels like too energy hungry for a red deck. Gogeta feels fun as well. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like it's missing something, and I can't figure out what it is. And I think that's kind of everything that I've played from the new set so far. I've still got my eyes on the Black Cooler deck, but I don't think it's going to be good until Kid Ku like disappears.
Well, shock horror. If that isn't most of the experience with a lot of decks in the format, there it's like, oh well, my deck that relies on a Z Unison that upticks in my opponent's turn is going to require Kid Ku to go away or stop minusing my Unisons.
Yeah, I'm still disappointed about the Kid Ku not being
the lack
not
of
being hit
any
a little
sort
bit.
of ban list. Yeah.
Yeah, I think literally if they removed the Unison, I think that would have been a huge help for decks, especially the BT26 25 deck. So, but we said that already.
It leaves a really but it's a really interesting point here because they're like it leaves that like bit of a sour taste in your mouth, doesn't it? When you've got these cards in, you've started playtesting with the different decks and everything. And again, like when I'm visualizing what my combos are going to be like, I've also got to imagine a Chaozu just like nuking something for -15 in the middle of that combo. And you're playtesting with the deck, and then you're like, oh yeah, if they Chaozu me here, I just have to pass. Oh, okay, this might not be like something I want to like properly kind of get invested in, or I need to figure out something around that specific problem. And it makes decks like, Zamasu, Cooler Planet, like just kind of feel rubbish off the bat when you've got all this like really like initial excitement for the decks.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame, and especially for not only just like a new set kind of getting overlooked because of this deck existing, but the set before our finals. So it's a pretty important set, and yes, there are decks that still will be able to compete. Like we know Gogeta is going to be strong, we know Vegeta is going to be strong, but it's a shame to not see like potentially like 4 or 5 decks coming out being able to compete where they actually look really fun on paper. They look pretty decent, but just because of the fact that Kid Kook washes out an entire mechanic from the game is like, well, these decks rely on unisons.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and on the upside here as well of that is that like all of these decks, kind of as you mentioned there, that are coming out are all insanely fun, really powerful in their own right. Like I saw a post on the Facebook discussion group, just like from one of the players there being like, every single deck I've played from this set is fun, interesting, exciting to play, has potential, and that kind of thing. And like that's such a cool place to be in for a set. But then when it's like, they're really cool and interesting, but there's just this one little thing, as you say, like removing an entire mechanic from the game because, you know, your deck pit like hinges on a one cost Z unison with a lot of them kind of buries them before they even get a chance to kind of get out and see the sun in a way, and that's it's a little bit disappointing. But overall, BT26 feels fantastic.
Yeah, without question, it's one of the best sets we've had in quite a while, I think. And like I say, yes, we can pay 2 for a little one-cost unison, but that's not quite the same, is it? It's like, come on. It's like it's still gonna die on your opponent's turn by him playing 30Ks and just minusing it anyway. So the unison dies passively, and I think that's the big thing as well from my testing. I think the biggest issue is like where at least with green, you've got to commit an energy and you've got to commit a combo card, right? Well, with Kidku, let's say I play the SR for argument's sake. I'm playing that card anyway, and then I'm going to minus at least 2 markers off your unison. Chances are that's probably enough to do, but if not, I can do my leader skill and get rid of another. And these cards are all cards I'm going to be playing this turn anyway, because I want to hit you with double strikes and 30Ks. So when you have this, you're able to kill it passively. That's where the real value comes from. Like you don't have to swing into it. You can just kill it by going, okay, minus here, swing with the 30K, and then if you want to, your next attack, your next card you can play, minus it, and then swing with that. And that's the thing, right? You don't need to commit any resources to it. And it's like even when you're against Black Vegito, it's like, okay, I'll play the SR, kill your blocker that's normally a really broken card, and then I'll get rid of all the markers on your unison because I chatsued you on your turn. So it was only 1 marker anyway, and then 2 when it swings, and then I minus 2 markers, and I've done this passively. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Takes a lot of like the decision making out of like what's and that like when I've been playing like the green Vegito deck, one of the things that's like really exciting about playing these decks is like there's a lot more like decision trees happening. You're not kind of in this one linear path of what you've got to do. Whereas even with Kidko, I think you can explore a couple of avenues and a couple of interesting techs, but a lot of the time paying 2 and slamming that 5-drop SR is like 90% of the time just going to be the play that you're going to make, and it's going to be the best play presented to you in your hand. So why not do it? Whereas with a lot of these new decks coming out, you can draw your opening hand can start crafting you towards loads of different avenues. It feels like you can go down to try and win the game depending on your matchup. Like like that opening hand, it's really exciting in that regard, and that's why it would be nice to see a couple of these decks where it's a really obvious decision making tree kind of phase out a little bit. But alas.
And the baby unison is crazy good as well in that deck. But I will say one really good thing about Green Vegito is I like how the unison doesn't matter after your awakening. Where with a lot of decks, like let's use Nova as an example, the unison is a big important piece all the way through. Or Black Vegito, for example, the unison matters. In Green Vegito, it's literally after that first summon to awaken it doesn't matter if you don't have it. I mean, it's still a good unison, but you don't have to play it each turn. However, if you play Zamasu, you've got, well, I would say you've got to play the unison all the time because it free plays a Goku Black or Zamasu, which you then need to start your engine. So those kind of decks is where Kid Ku especially preys on. But like say at least with Green Vegito, you do it, you play it. Once it dies, you can spend your by then you're spending your energy on bringing out big 9 drops or 7 drops. So you don't care about the unison anymore. You just leave one open for dormant, and that's fine. Like you don't need to worry about it anymore.
And let me talk about like design direction with this deck as well, because this is what gets me like. I've not played a green Saiyan leader in what feels like 5 or 6 sets. But what gets me so excited about this leader, right, is I can use any 2-cost unison to awaken. I've got Oolong, I've got Bardock, I've got the new one. I can do any of them, and as more get added to the pool, I've got more options to awaken. And there's some decks where you want to play the Bardock unison, and you've got the Barrier Vegeta 1-drop on board, and you can do blocker shenanigans, and it's actually better than the Vegito unison for the deck. On turn 3, I can play a set 2 SR, which is really powerful and still fits in so well with what the deck wants to do.
Yep.
Like, that's incredible, like, card design. I absolutely love that to bits, because, like, Hyper Rush Vegito in that deck is still so good. It's like a draw 2, rip a random card, blow up a guy, 25k triple strike on turn 2. When 99% of the card pool from set 1 and 2 is either banned or garbage, like that really gets my like nostalgia as a Dragon Ball Masters player going. Like some really cool stuff. And then you look at all of the Vegetos out there, and some of them are like, oh wow, this is actually gives me a really cool tech option, like the one from BT25 that randomly came out to support Trunks and Mai. That removes 2 markers and discards a card from your opponent's hand and has 25k triple on it for 2 energy under Patara. Like what? Like that's a cool bit of support as well, and gives you like instant unison removal on play, which, as we've just been describing with Kid Ku, is insane. So it's like that kind of level of card design in a deck is what's really got me excited about like this set, and then like the other sets they're going to be doing. It's really built for like the us old school players, you know.
Yeah,
it's definitely super exciting. Like you say as well, going into future sets, not only with the 2-cost unison, but also with any green Vegetos they print in the future. Like being able to revive cards like Hyper Rush is so cool, and then anything that comes out for the future is like potential Trunks Mai support, like you mentioned, or any other green Vegito stuff. It's gonna be potentially slotting straight into this deck as well. It's a very exciting prospect to have when you can look into those like we had with this set, where there was so many legacy support cards that are just going to support a bunch of different decks. When you see that one card that fits the one deck that you've been playing for however many sets, and it's like, this is the card and nobody's going to see this one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like so rewarding from like a deck building perspective. Like when your one deck, you've been waiting all this time to get this certain card, and you're like, there it is, it's finally there. My deck's about to pop off and no one's going to see it coming.
One thing I will say about the green Vegito as well is I know a lot of people have talked about it, but I don't believe the triple strike god rare is the correct secret rare for the deck. From my testing, I don't believe it is.
Take, guys.
Yeah.
What is the most optimal SCR for the deck?
Well, that's
please tell me I'm going to local
test. But I'm 99.9% confident that that's not the correct SCR. I used to think it was, and then when you start thinking of scenarios like outside of like you don't kill on that turn, your rest of your turns look like absolute garbage because you can't draw anymore. You can't play your Patara for free. your extra card. So
Yeah.
your whole deck does not function anymore. Now, obviously, you don't have to Z Awaken, blah, 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 but at that point, I would rather just play, any of the Sal's or Prong or anything else and just Z Leader when I need to and just go double. Because the thing is, you're still getting a great double strike. And yeah, it's great the concept of like, oh, I'm 50k on his turn and I'm 30k base. Yeah, but you don't draw and you don't play Union Bataras anymore. Like your deck is dead. So unless you've got like loads of fucking boss monsters on the field already, what pressure are you gonna now put? Just keep swinging with your leader. Okay. Whatever.
It's a real glass cannon SCR, isn't it? Like you have to
Yeah.
win on the turn you're
Yeah.
playing that. Otherwise, 30k base leader is kind of cute, but if you're not winning on that turn, like, sorry mate, Kidku's still in the format. Like they swing 30k at you as a base level, and I ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, so I think people have been locked in on that secret rare, and I think I would rather go for a more consistent secret rare. And also as well, it's like with that one specifically, it's not an aggro deck by default. Like you're not bringing out Union Tours till turn 3, so because you're not an aggro deck, that as a finisher doesn't feel correct. Like if you were like smashing triple strikes turn 1, turn 2, then maybe it could be the correct one. But like you're not doing anything until turn 3 anyway. By then, it's like I don't know. I just think it's the incorrect secret rare. So you've heard it here first.
Pete's setting himself up with another card to get smashed by at finals.
Could you
can't wait.
imagine?
That's going to be a loss in the rounds to someone triple striking him on the leader. Poetry in motion.
It'll only be because they're running the wrong secret rare. That's
Yeah,
what happens.
That's always the excuse, isn't it?
It is. It's like say I remember Salvino killing me, and he was playing it in Spirit Bomb deck, and I'm like, what the fuck? It should be Gohan and Piccolo. Like I specifically had enough negates to stop everything I wanted to do, because there's no reason. Like this was a while ago, but I remember it being at a regional in Germany, and ever since then, I've had a prediction about fucking Salzino. It steals games. It's basically like Beast Gohan for blue. It steals games. It's dumb. I hate it. Blah blah blah.
So any of you guys watching, if you guys want to make sure you're running Salzino for finals, we can get a little, skip charge fan group going, and we can all play against Peter in a row and beat him with Salzino exclusively.
Yeah, exactly. Play it in decks you should never play it in.
It takes the negate out of your 14 card hand every time without fail.
It
Broken
does.
card, everybody.
It's so annoying. It truly is, and yeah, I hate the card with passion. But anyway.
Now, on the subject of finals, moving us away from Pete's salt-induced rage over Salzino, we are very close to final season kicking off. So we have French finals around the corner, and my fabulous pair of co-hosts here are going to be making the trip over the channel to go and play in French finals. As we mentioned beforehand, though, we are having to flick the switch back in time to the BT25 meta for this one, gentlemen, because despite all of our clamoring about how exciting BT26 is and how we can't wait to get into all these wonderful, well-designed decks with Salzino as the SCR, we're going to have to just go back to BT25 for this event. So how is that going to be impacting your testing? How are we feeling about competing in this tournament? Ollie, I'm going to let you take center stage on this one for a hot second while Pete maintains his composure a little bit more after being triggered by Salzino.
So yeah, for me, I think it honestly streamlines my testing even further, which is quite nice. Because I'm not gonna play Kidku. That's the end all be all. I don't want to play Kidku. It's not who I am as a player.
Yeah.
And I'm also probably not gonna play Nuova, even though I do like the Shadow Dragon. So I might keep my eye on it, but it's not really what I want to end up on. And I'm also probably not going to play any BT26 decks after testing like the small sample size of ones that I'm interested in. They've just not really clicked with me so far. So it means that I don't have to worry about playing against all the BT26 decks. I'm probably not playing them anyway, so I don't have to think about that right now. So I can just focus all of my testing on beating Kidku and Nuova as the main two decks of the format. Obviously, there'll still be others like Black Vegito and SS4 Goku Xeno and all of that stuff. But I think the most common ones we'll see are still going to be Nuova and Kidku. So I can just focus all of my testing on those. And then, yeah, see how it goes. And we'll see. I'm probably going to end up taking a deck that I'm not 100% sold on playing in Utrecht to either see if I can like take it in Utrecht or cross it off as a potential option. So it'll be like a more tertiary choice of mine, rather than like the deck. This is the exact list that I'm taking to Utrecht, and I'm gonna give it a testing ground right now, because that I think would just be quite a bad idea. But obviously, me. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
Right. I'm just gonna say I'm right in saying that you guys can't qualify for Worlds through French finals. That's the same rule as it was last year, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
That's the same rule.
Yeah.
I technically have family in France, but I don't think I'm gonna try and use that to my advantage. Because that feels a bit scummy still.
I'm French if I speak a little French, right?
Yeah, Pierre.
What is
Pierre.
it? Je m'appelle Pierre Dance.
The 13% of our French listeners have just unsubscribed from the channel.
Exactly,
Thanks for
mate.
sticking around, guys. But honestly, that's fair enough. I wouldn't stick around listening to it either.
But I will be le baguette, Peter, or Pierre, should I say?
I know what.
If I win, no, like because Pierre is Peter.
Yeah, Peter's going to be showing up in a beret, black and white beret, and a baguette
mate.
by his side.
Because my ancestors or something were French, so if I win, all of a sudden I'm French. However, I can't declare I'm French at this point in time, otherwise it would ruin any EU opportunities for me. So I will all of a sudden find some distant relative or...
You'll be signing the match slip with the little accents over your E's on dance and stuff.
Exactly. Oh, that's a good idea, it is. Yes, exactly. I like that. That's what I'll have to do. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. But it should be good testing anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, because we can't qualify, to us it is just going to be a testing ground and a way to make sure that any Americans that we've caught wind might be coming over...
Yeah, we gotta knock out all the Americans.
You know, they stick to their place and don't get too big of an ego or anything.
That's the thing, innit? Europeans are stronger than the Americans, but technically they have the world champion currently. But
Boy, that doesn't mean all right there.
Yeah, the MB4 top 3 is all Americans.
I think it's something that actually makes like French finals like a really like exciting tournament now as well. Is it's like you've got quite a few different countries competing in the tournament, even though they know they can't compete for Worlds off the back of it. But everyone is going, this is the first, like, you know, this is the beginning of finals event. This is our time to like jump in and, you know, as you guys have said, you see it as like a really intense version of kind of testing because you get to run whatever ideas you've got into a true tournament setting against different players from different countries who are going to give you different perspectives on how to like on what they're playing and give you an insight into what their testing's been like as well. And I think that's a really like exciting prospect. And you know, you've also just laid down the gauntlet massively as well. So if we come back and film the podcast episode afterwards and you lose to the Americans now, I'm gonna laugh at you with them. But
I mean, it's not
because,
much of a gauntlet. They're just Americans.
but then if you beat them, I'm also going to bask in the glory with you as well. So either way, I'm winning. So
The thing is, as well, it's like it's very for anyone that isn't French, it's very like stress-free testing, because I mean, yeah, we paid for travel and whatnot, but it's like there's nothing on the line for us. I
yeah,
mean, this is the only shitty thing, because I'm never. I know it's a bit hypocritical of me, but I don't like the idea of people that can't qualify playing in a tournament. Yes, I'm aware that that's what I'm doing myself, but I don't like it because well, correction. I don't like it if it comes to, let's say it's the quarterfinals, and you've got two Frenchmen over here. Sorry, not. It would be like, say, a Frenchman and English, Frenchman and American, whatever. Like, or yeah, maybe a bit further, but like you can knock out a Frenchman that could have potentially got to the finals in like day two, and that is the shit. Like, I'll be honest, I think that's the shitty thing about it. Now, you could argue you have to be good enough to qualify, but if it was more of a region lock thing where you can't play in it if you're not from France, I think it's, or from any region for that matter, if it was EU or not, I think that's better for the players. But like I say, I am I'm fully aware that I'm hypocritical because I'm playing in the event myself, but I still think it's shitty. Like, but
Yeah,
that's
I definitely share that sentiment, but you also brought up the point that I was going to make, which is the way that I've always thought about it is, if you're going to qualify for Worlds, you better be at that caliber of player to beat some players from the other regions as well.
yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? But it's like I
There's
also,
no, it's not black and white, right?
yeah. It's a difficult one because also you don't want to take this opportunity from someone,
Yeah.
but they also have to be good enough. But then it's like, if I wasn't, well, let's say it was myself or whoever, but it's like you'd want to see it like a battle of the, well, we're going to use Frenchmen currently because we're talking about the French, but wherever the event is, um, and yeah,
For
I
example,
think,
if we get knocked out of top 8 or top 16 in Utrecht by some Americans who come over, we'll be
yeah,
pissed.
we will be pissed. 100% would be pissed. But we're gonna do, well, hopefully the same thing.
Yeah, and we won't get knocked out because we're going to be better
Yeah,
than them.
hopefully.
That's the hope, right?
Um, yeah. But no, it's a good. It is good because it's less stress as well. Like, it doesn't, for me, the French, because the French one is just a testing ground. It's like, if I would like to make day two, but it's like I'm not gonna like moan about it. Where with the EU, that's where like it matters to me. Um, because the thing is, the format's different than EU. Everything is different about it. Because obviously France has had the delays on BT26, which is obviously going to be quite big. Then also, like, just talking about preparation, the issue is, for, again, we've probably said it before, but you need 50% French cards. So the problem is, you're like, with Netherlands, if literally, bit like story time what I said before about playing Sin on the Monday before finals, funny enough, in Netherlands 2 years ago, I can't make that decision with France. I can't go, oh, I'm going to play Janimba, let's say, and then I can't make that decision a week before to go, you know what, Janimba's not the right pick. I need to change to whoever because I'm not got the cards. And I think this is the thing as well, as a player, because Bandai still insist on having this silly rule about 50% French cards. And for anyone that might have remembered, Italy's rule was even harsher. Because if my memory is correct, again, Italy doesn't have this rule anymore, and it's not even a region anymore. RIP. But it used to be a case of, I think, unless the card existed in Italian, I think you could run English. but if the card existed in Italian, you couldn't run the English one. I think that was the rule, but this was a very long time ago. Like, this rule's not been a thing for a very long time, but I remember the Italian one being a lot harsher because they had. The reason being is because their sets were out, they were behind us on set. So that's why they allowed you to have English, because the English were ahead.
Yeah.
But if the set was an I think they were like three sets behind, I want to say. It was quite a lot. It was in the era where we were behind the Americans by a few weeks. And then like everyone, like, again, I don't know if you guys remember that era.
I feel like this was like set. Was this like set 9 times and stuff? Like was this like draft box 1? Because like I don't know why.
Yeah,
I've got a
probably.
bit of a poor memory of it being like, oh, they've just got their draft boxes, and like the Italian like Raiders war cries and stuff like that would have like cost like nothing, whereas all of our draft box stuff was like 50, 60 quid a card.
Also, as well, I remember around that time, it was when, for some reason, Italy apps. So shout out to any of you Italians that were playing not Planet Vegeta, the Vegeta, the multicolored one that used the field card. King Vegeta.
The reboot one, right?
Well, yeah, this was before the reboot.
Yeah, the one that
But
eventually got rebooted. Yeah. I remember you talking about this.
Mate, I love the Italians so much because we were like, I forgot these sets, but we were like 3 sets ahead, and these geezers were bloody on King Vegeta kicking ass. But obviously for us, we couldn't copy that deck because we were several sets ahead. And I loved that. I loved the fact their meta was so different, and I just remember King Vegeta doing work in Italy. I don't know how many events it was. That if you ask me any deck I remember from Italy, it was King Vegeta. So for anyone in who's listening that you know was doing incredibly well with it, credit to you, and it was really great to see about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the difficulty. It's trying to get the cards, and then.
Although I mean, that might not be happening anymore, right? Because I think we saw a post recently that was like anything could be legal for France, but a bunch of people are saying that it's only BT26 English that would be legal, but BT26 isn't legal for France now. So
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, even the French community. Every time I spoke to the French community, because they've been awesome, they don't want this rule in existence. This is an old rule that does. I mean, the rule book hasn't even been updated to include Z decks. So either Bandai doesn't care about the rule themselves anyway, because for example, when they say you need 50% French cards, they're referring only to main deck and side deck. They do not make any reference to Z deck. So, like, if they're not updating the rule to include Z deck, and we've had this for like 8 sets now. Has it been that long? Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, been about 8 sets
8
now.
sets,
Yeah, because 18.
18 was Zenkai 1.
So how much does
Red Sin
Bandai
and
care?
Gogeta meta.
Oh god. Yeah.
You got it in.
So, how much does Bandai care about this if they haven't included it in the rule book? Maybe they even forgot the rule exists. I don't know, because it's such like say, it was back in the day for anyone that might have forgotten, but it's back in the day when we couldn't even use French cards. I mean, as far as I know, you can't even use French cards in America still. As far as I'm aware, because I don't think the Americans. I think when I looked at the rulebook last, I think it's still only technically EU that can run French cards and Italian cards. So I think, again, for anyone in America, you can please correct me, but I'm pretty sure you guys can't play French cards. And I just think we should get rid of all of this rule. It's pointless. Just be gone. The game's, whatever.
It's such an antiquated like ruling, and like what's so exciting about France is that you've got so many people coming across, and that's people doing that in spite of these like like going out and buying French cards and stuff like that. Imagine if you didn't have the rule in place and you didn't have it in place for like months leading up to it. Imagine the amount of people who would be excited to who would like make plans come across, because everything's so uncertain. it puts people off wanting to commit that time and resources into coming to the tournament. So
Yeah,
absolutely,
exactly.
get
I
it
mean,
gone, get attendances up at these events.
yeah, I've picked a deck I'm taking, but I don't even know if it's a deck I care about because I have to decide. Like, it's 2 weeks away. I have to decide on a deck, and I have to buy the French cards, which is a difficulty all alone on its own. Now, if it turns around and this post that Bandai made technically 17 hours ago from now, um, technically, if that's the case, and I can play any English card and it's treated fine, then like that's the happiest day of my life. At least this
And
year.
as we know from so far from recent ban lists, the Bandai Facebook posts are actually law abiding. So
Yeah, exactly. But I hope that. But I will say, if they do it where, because BT26 has been delayed, if they turn around and say English BT26 are counted as French cards, then I'm playing a BT26 deck because it'll make my life 10 times easier.
Yeah,
And I
for
can
sure.
tell you right now which one I'm going to play.
again, the secret sauce right here.
Oh, hell, Zamasu. I'm Knipes. I mean, I don't have a list. It's just I would want to play Zamasu. I mean, I could play Gogeta, but whatever. I think I'll play Zamasu.
With Celzino?
Oh, no. To be
Why
honest,
not, bro?
I mean, you can make 8 and 4 in that deck pretty easily, no?
No. I'll show you the secret rare I do like. So for the visual people, because I brought it, right, just for this deck. Now, I don't think it's the best secret rare, but I'm playing a Storly deck, as I do. Where the fuck is it? Give me one sec, chat. Give me one sec. This is, here we go. Here we go. There we go. That lovely thing. Obviously, it's a bit blurry, but Margin Boo, was it Kibakai Absorption or whatever? I love that card. It's. I don't think it's the best secret rare for the deck. I think it's better to probably go with. So yeah, so Salmax is probably the secret rare I would choose. I don't think you need to go Pronga because you don't go hand control and you don't really care about resting their energy. So yeah, I think Salmax I think Salmax is probably more correct. I mean, there's a couple of other secret rare, I think, choices, like even something like Pan, maybe. But I want to play the more defensive style, and that's why I've gone with the Margin Boo one, because also as well, it's like in theory, hopefully you'll still have a unison, so there is like weird niches where I can steal their unison, and I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's whatever. It's a fun deck, and that's all it's designed to be. But it's not going to win the tournament, but it's a deck I would like to play.
The only legal language ready mill deck in the room, ready to
Well,
go.
maybe that's the reason, right? I mean, I'm sure my Janimba is probably. There's a lot of cards that probably count as French cards. Because again, for anyone that's trying to prep for French, there's obviously the French head judge made the post, but like there's certain cards, like for example, pre-release cards after set 10 are counted as French cards. Basically, if
Such a
cards,
mess.
yeah, well
Such a
that's
mess.
another thing as well. It's like it's not clean cut, so it's like tournament promo cards are all counted as French cards. Like some of the gold leaders account, well, I know the Invoker one is, at least, so I assume they all are. That's
Yeah.
counted as a French card. Beast Hand World Stamp is counted as a French cards. So it's like, but again, like you say, that's just a mess because it's like, well, okay, I've got this deck of 50 plus 15 side, so I need half of these French, but it's like, well, why can I play this English language card just because it has pre-release on it, like as a French card? Like, well, just let me have English.
Just let us play with whatever cards we've got, knowing that they are actual Dragon Ball cards. Like it feels like it's way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah. And I think the game has got to the stage now, with numbers and what have you, that we don't need these barriers.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry guys, you had to listen to me rant about French cards. But
No,
yeah,
it's definitely a relevant issue, especially with the post that has been made, like you said, 17 hours ago. Hopefully clarifying things for us, although it might lead to more confusion if then the head judge decides that they're not going to follow that for some reason, or
I will.
it's hard to figure out whether we should play it safe and buy French cards still, or if we should abide
Well,
by
that's
this
the other
post
thing,
now.
isn't
And
it? Yeah.
I'm just gonna not buy cards and hope that it goes well personally.
I will say shout out to the head judge Enzo, where I've been messaging him. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's been messaging him, and he's been answering the questions amazingly. And I will say shout out to him. He's done an awesome job so far. With dealing with this stuff, and he's the one that's obviously getting the answers to see if this means we can use English cards, or if it doesn't, or I mean, it could just be a clarification, and it could change absolutely nothing. It's just they were letting people know that you can use English cards. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I'll echo Ollie's sentiments there as well. Like it wouldn't be a skip charge podcast without a nice ramble from Pete that actually does link to something we need to know a little bit about as well. I think that the card translation issue has just been one of those weird like quality of life things that's just needed addressing for a while. And the fact that it's finals this like coming up very soon for France kind of highlights that. Now, when is France finals kicking off? We've got another week or so, right? Haven't we?
Yeah, so it's not this weekend; it's next weekend. So as we're recording this on the 28th of October, so on the Monday, so it's not this weekend; it's the weekend after.
So 9th and 10th of November.
Yeah. So I fly on the 8th, and I assume you're flying on the 8th as well, Ollie?
As soon as I've booked a flight, then yes, probably. I'll probably end up on the same one as you.
Yeah, hopefully me and Ollie are on the same flight. Hopefully he chooses to have a seat near me. Otherwise, I'm going to cry because he doesn't like me.
I am not
2 hours
paying
in
extra for flight seats. No way.
Pay extra to go on the opposite side of the plane.
I'll pay extra to get on another flight.
I could just imagine Pete sitting next to you being like, so, did you know that set 9 pre-release cards count as French cards, but actually set 10 pre-release cards count as English ones? Why did I book this seat?
Exactly, mate. But yeah, it's and then our mate Bradley, or Brad, should I say? He's flying from London, I think. That's close to him. So he's flying on the Friday as well. So it'll be the three of us. It's crazy, right? So the flights cost like 150 odd quid or whatever, but like the accommodation that I found, it was like 48 quid for us each. So it's like So it's like 200 quid trip basically.
Over the weekend as well. That's
Yeah.
wild. That's so good.
Well, we don't like me and Ollie. We don't fly back till the Monday. So
It's like 3 nights. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Brad leaves us on Sunday, so it'll just be me and Oliver sharing a room together, all alone, one night. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to put up with this man snoring again.
Yeah. For anyone, unfortunately, I am a little bit loud at snoring. Not only can Ollie contest, but also my brother Mert from Germany. Unfortunately, he's had the pleasure of listening to me snore a few times, but he does say that noise cancelling headphones help. So for anyone that ends up sharing a room with me, I'd recommend noise cancelling headphones.
Just blink twice if you need help, Ollie.
Mate, when we were in Poland for one of the Zenkai showdowns, it was me, Peter, and Tom, and Mikey, and me and Tom figured out a system where we'd alternate trying to come up with different interesting conversation topics to keep Peter awake whilst the other one got some sleep.
And then that reminds me, actually, I remember like fucking Mikey's like face in the morning. He was like, yeah, I forgot he was with on that night as well. Yeah, they weren't impressed with my my snoring, unfortunately. But yeah, so never share a room with me. But you know, when I organise all the hotels and stuff, then
You're stuck with him.
unfortunately so. But I do actually, I normally try and get my own room separate, because I know that my snoring is incredibly loud. So I am quite considerate, but unfortunately, like this one, we've got 3 separate beds, but we're all in the same room because obviously it was cheaper as well. So they're gonna have to struggle. But no, I'm looking forward to France. Typical Englishman. I've already looked at some food places because I'm fat. So found a KFC already. No, sorry, Burger King already.
Not even like some traditional like French cuisine out there. Typical British man goes abroad and goes, "Don't worry, I'll track down the Burger King lads."
Yeah,
I was expecting it to be some nice French food as well, but I'm not going to Burger King.
We can do Burger King a little bit, but we'll find some new places. Because for anyone who's actually staying in the area, you might want to holler us up because we're actually like 11-minute walk from the venue, so we're actually quite close. So yeah, if anyone that we like is around, you can DM us and.
Any of our French listeners who didn't get scared away with the horrible stereotypes earlier on in the podcast, if you've got any food suggestions, pop them in the comments below for these fine gentlemen. They will massively appreciate it.
And I'm sure Peter's hoping that Legends is listening in and is like, I'm actually going to be staying next door to you guys and I'll come along.
I'll put up with your snoring, Pete.
Yeah. We can talk about Invoker all day long.
I'm sure you can, and many more things.
Yeah.
So, with that all wonderfully said and done, we went on quite a number of tangents there, which, you know, if you've not been listening for a while, this is what we do. So just get on the path with us. We are going to be jumping into everybody's favorite Dragon Ball Super Card Game Masters based podcast game, Dragon Ball's Den. It's everyone's favorite because there isn't another one in existence. But also it's kind of fun, right? So this week, we were going to have Ollie, but he got tragically drunk at the weekend, and had the worst hangover imaginable yesterday. So he didn't even have time to pick his pitch for us. So
yeah.
Pete has valiantly jumped in to the den in Ollie's stead, hoping for some pity investment. Pete, what are you bringing to the team today?
Sure. So I thought I've got to get one of these out of the way eventually. So it has to be an Invoker card. And I thought, well, I'll do it this time because I've got to get one done. Right.
I'm out.
Shut up.
I think my hangover's coming back, guys.
Yeah.
I'm getting a headache already.
And as I was designing it, I thought, you know what? I would really like this card for my deck. So, I think, I thought, you know what? You guys did your little not King Cold, Cooler and Bojack the other day. And I thought, you know what? I haven't done an Invoker card. I did some
You got a pass,
interesting
mate.
ones. Yeah, so
You
I
got a
thought,
pass. Go for
I
it.
thought, you know what? I want my boss monster, so I'm going to create one.
Brilliant. So I'm going to start the timer for 2 minutes now.
Sure. So we'll go through the stats first. So it's a 10 drop, and it's basically a combination of both of the 6 drops, so the Triple Striker and the Burn card, but it's a bit different. So 10 drop, Master Ultra Instinct, Son Goku, because it's Master. 2 specified cost, which is very important, 1 blue, 1 red. It's got Deflect, Barrier, and Invoker. It's a U7 card, and it's 40k base. It's got just 2 skills outside of those keywords. One is an activate main, remove 1 red blue multicolored card from your drop or your hand and restand it. It doesn't do the -5 like the Triple Striker because I figured it only does 1 instead of 2, and it's 40k base, so it's kind of like the triple. And then of course, just to get inspiration from the burn a little bit, activate main. This one does have limit 1. The other one is as many times as you want to. Remove 5 red, blue, multicolored cards from your drop and or hand, and they crit 1 life. So it's a combination of the 2 boss monsters to make an actual boss monster. But yeah, Deflect, Barrier, and Invoker. There we go.
You've still got 40 seconds, buddy. Do you want to give us a little bit more
Really?
juice on this?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you head through that.
Well, it's quite a simple card. Like I say, it's oh shit! I forgot the permanent. Of course, because that's why it's a 10 drop. Sorry, it's a 12 drop. It's not a 10 drop
40
because I changed
seconds.
it. It's -1 for each red, blue, multicolored card in the drop. So it's a 12 cost. 12 it starts, and then if you had 5, then it's -5. But it can't go lower than a 2 cost. I forgot the permanent. But yeah.
That is a
So
handy permanent to know.
yeah. Sorry, yeah, that's the whole point. I was like reading that. I'm like, I don't think I've told you about the permanent. So yeah. So
That is
that's it.
time. Just in time, you managed to save this 10 cost abomination from the flipping jank pile.
Yeah. I was like thinking. I was like, yeah. So I changed it to a 12 cost after. So originally it was a 10 cost, but then I thought a 12 cost because then it's the 2 6s together to make 12
But basically, I can play it for 2, right?
under the right conditions.
Yeah, nothing too broken. Ollie,
Single strike.
after your semi-triumphant run in the Xenoverse tournaments with Invoker, what kind of wisdom can you impart in terms of this card?
Thanks. I'm glad you recognise me as the Invoker player of
yeah.
the group here, because I've got some serious tournament results behind my expertise on the deck. I don't really know what I just heard.
It's a balanced card, bro.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna win Worlds, and this will be the card I design.
that's the card you're gonna print. Oh Jesus. Okay.
Stop cooking, never cook again.
No. Okay.
Look, everyone's allowed 1.
I like some aspects of the card.
That's fair.
I like that it gets reduced by it's got this big cost and it gets reduced by the number of extra cards in your drop. I think that's really cool, especially because
not extra cards, red blue cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is it only red blue cards or red blue extra cards?
No red blue cards.
Okay, that's slightly different.
Yeah.
I thought it was specifically red blue extra cards. But I think that's still pretty cool. Because obviously you have to build up to that throughout the game, and it also means you have to be, careful with how much scrying you're doing with your extra cards if you want to set it up. So I do like that part of the card, but you've also said Barrier, Deflect, Invoker, and That's just insane. Like that's so insane to me.
I need a boss
Too energy.
monster.
Um,
Too
and
energy.
not only that, but you're burning life with it.
Limit one, and I'm
Yeah.
whooping cards to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I like the aspect that you've done of combining the 2/6 drops and also the thematics of making it a 12 cost there. But at the same time, you've still said barrier, deflect, and invoker. If there
The thing
was
is, yeah,
like some kind of redeeming quality between those three keywords, I might be interested. But I think I'm gonna withhold my investment there.
you guys are just scared, man.
Yeah, I am. I've seen what Invoker can do without that card, and it's like, it's still pretty scary playing against it.
You guys are scared, man. Yes, terrified, fucking terrified, bro. I don't know what I would do.
Because like this card, you can go to turn 5 and you can still just play Rival Seeker this card and then untap 3 with like the burn 6 drop and do all of your shenanigans with that now. Or the triple
No,
strike.
because I wouldn't need to do that. Just play this guy because I
Yeah,
can keep
yeah.
you standing with this guy.
Yeah, but the triple striker as well. You go to 5 because the triple striker is not Invoker, right? The other one is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's again.
I assume
but
that's
he's deflect, and yeah, the other isn't.
Yeah. So now you can have the triple striker and Invoker guy down. I mean, you could drop this guy earlier than turn 5. Nah. I'm gonna pass it over to Joe now because otherwise I'm gonna get too
I
caught
have
up in
no
it.
wild cards outside of this card, man. God
I'm
damn
gonna
it!
do a really traditional like Dragon's Den thing here, right? Where they come with a different offer to you.
Okay.
Lose one of the keywords and I'll invest. That is what I think. I think there needs to be a way of interacting with this card. And I echo what Ollie said. I love the idea. I love the concept of both those boss monsters together. You've got really cool synergies with the deck, and it's going to come down. I'm all for broken cards. Like you're really going to boost Invoker with this, plus the Unison deck goes back onto the map well and truly. But if it keeps all three of those keywords and I could do nothing to stop it, I cannot in good consciousness invest in this concept. If you can pitch me one of those keywords going, I'm gonna consider it.
I think for me, barrier is probably one of the most important ones because I like the idea of being able to swing with this, and then if the negate or a floodgate, I can then burn them.
Yeah.
With the effect. I like that because the problem with the triple strikers, you've got to rely on giving it barrier to like not die that turn, and then if they floodgate you, it's like, oh, okay. So barrier has to stay. Do I actually mind just losing Invoker and leave deflect on there?
See, this is why I thought it was a nice question to ask, because I think there's a few ways this could go that could make the card actually pretty, like, really good, but really balanced.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think that's the main thing that I was concerned over was those 3 keywords in combination.
Rock up with flipping keyword soup over here, man. Jeez.
2 of the keywords is pretty manageable. 3 of them is crazy.
Well, like I say, barrier 100% I'm keeping.
Okay.
I think because there's a lot of because it gets reduced cost and not played with a skill, a lot of counterplays could hit it. So I think I would want to keep deflect for that reason. So I'd lose Invoker, which I wouldn't want to do. But I feel like if you don't keep deflect, then there's so many answers for this card that it kind of then doesn't become good. And besides, if like turn 5 or turn 6 or something, I could still like I could do MVP turn 4, the turn before, and then my turn 5 I've still got Invoker. And then I drop this for 2 energy, and I've got 3 energy while my leader's got Invoker. So that would be fine. So yeah, I think I would be happy keeping it deflect barrier, and then I'd be reliant on getting Invoker from outside sources or as Ollie said, I could play the 3-drop and go into the 6 with Invoker Burn. But yeah, I would say Deflect and Barrier.
Who could have seen that coming, guys? Barrier and Deflect, the most broken keyword combination, even more so than Invoker.
Yeah, I'm going to invest. I'm going to invest for you on this one because I think my preferred keyword that I would have lost off there is deflect because I like the idea of it being like a broken card, but you having to kind of like play a bit more around it, but also getting your fun boss monster to actually stick on the board. There's nothing less fun than watching the guy you've spent like 4 or 5 energy, perhaps maybe 2 at least. But you built up to this big turn. You finally get to play your big dude who's part of your deck, and some guy's like, "Oh yeah, nice one. I've actually got this Boojin, and it's going to
counterplay,
go to drop me." Like it stinks.
It's
So,
really interesting that you said that because I was having a think while Peter was discussing about the idea of getting rid of one of the keywords, and the one that jumped to my mind was barrier. So we've each gone for a different one to get rid of. Because
yeah,
I was like, oh, if you get rid of barrier, you can't do the whole swinging through multiple times, but you can still use it as just a or a pseudo guaranteed invoker for your kill turn.
Actually, I think you're probably right about getting rid of barrier because if I kept the invoker, then I could royal anything coming out from.
Yeah, exactly.
Because originally, I think the reason I was so focused on barrier is because I remember in the triple strike and how susceptible that is to, play this bottom deck, this kind of gig. But yeah, technically, I don't know. I mean, technically,
I am the invoker player of the group, so probably...
shut up.
I'm trusting Ollie's logic on this one, mate.
Actually,
he knows a lot about how to play it in the Xenoverse tournament.
You know what? Technically, I just thought about it. I could actually technically cheat because I could say invoke a deflect and then play the card that I give my triple strike barrier so that I actually get all 3 keywords.
I have to take your first answer, I'm afraid, mate. Otherwise, you're not getting anything. After you've explained how you can cheat, you're not getting anybody from me if you do it that way.
It's 0 energy as well, so it's like, yeah, because obviously I normally do that with a triple striker, but yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of it in that order, actually. That would have made more sense to keep the invoker deflect and give it self barrier.
Real brains behind the invoker decks are.
Shut up, Piggy.
There you go. So 1 investment for Pete. We finally got one over the line. I think we've all become very clued into exactly what's going to be a little bit too overpowered and what might need a little bit more of a buff now. We're all getting a little bit vicious over here in Dragon Ball's Den now. Right, so thank you so much for joining us on Dragon Ball's Den. What we're going to do is we're going to save the ban list segment for next week. I'm aware we've got another week before these 2 fine gentlemen head on over to France to go hunting for gold and Burger Kings, apparently.
Nice.
So it gives us a bit of time to think, and we can maybe kind of bump out that segment a little bit as well in terms of things coming off the ban list. And what I think is actually going to be really cool here is if you guys leave your comments below, we'll also have a look at the discussion groups. I know it's been a clamoring chat for it over there. And we'll dig through your comments and we'll see if there's any particular ones that stick out to us. I think from cards that you could see coming off the ban list, and give us a bit of an example as to why. Don't just go, Gogeta 7 just should come back, or drum back to 4 or something, and just leave that as your comment. Sell it to us. Give us a reason why that card should come off the ban list, and your best takes will make it onto the show next time round.
Also, as well, just to add, if we think about this logically, next week, obviously, Ollie's on Dragon Den. And then after that, obviously, our lovely audience will have 2 weeks to give submissions for their ideas for Dragon's Den. So again, a reminder, obviously, once we've all had a go, which obviously Ollie's the last one to have a go now, obviously you, the beautiful audience, get to pitch ideas. So in this case, because we're going to be in France, we might do one when we get back. I mean, if it's all good news or if it's all tears, we'll see. But obviously, potentially, you guys will have 2 weeks for submissions.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout because like you guys be there till Monday. You've got a lot of traveling to go as well. But if we're in the
One of
mindset,
us win, we'll jump on.
Yeah. We'll see how we're feeling on Monday, I think.
there is your skip charge podcast promise to you, the viewer. If Ollie or Pete wins, we're jumping on doing an episode for you, especially.
We'll do it from
If
the
not,
hotel room in France.
Yeah. We'll do a special recording.
In the car
Yeah.
park like the Americans do.
Get your deck profile on the car bonnet and everything.
Mate, they're awesome. They are. I love
Yeah,
them.
yeah, they're goated.
I mean, I genuinely do. I genuinely do like them. It's just cool.
They're in like a Chick-fil-A or something like that, so we can have Pete doing his winning deck profile from the French Burger King he's found.
Exactly. It's like I won the event, so I'm choosing where we're eating, guys.
Please,
But
my
yeah.
veins can't take it anymore. Not
I'm
another Burger
gonna
King.
get so much hate. It's like you're going to France and you're eating Burger King. What are you? I'm fat. That's what I am. But it's how it is, right? But no,
You've got to
I do
love the
promise.
ownership of it there. Like you've got to
It's,
love the like, yeah, we're going to Burger King. That's what we're eating.
I will 100%. For anyone's ears that are hurting at the idea of going traveling and eating Burger King, I will be looking for some nice places because I mean, I know when we went Poland, we found some beautiful places. So, but I will say, you know, I'll get in on my hotel on the Friday. Realistically, I'm going Burger King. Just saying, but you know,
I'm
we'll
not
see.
joining you.
Don't care.
leave us some suggestions on where I can ditch Pete at for some nice food in the comments below, guys.
Ollie's
Well,
just going to be soundproofing his room while you're out at Burger King.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think that's a lovely place to leave it, gang. Thank you so much for stopping by. We've had a couple of nice little tangents and whatnot to discuss, but it just wouldn't be Skip Charge without them, would it? Remember to leave those comments about what you would like to take off the ban list moving forward, and we will discuss those next week. We will have Ollie's Dragon Ball's Den, and maybe a couple of last-minute ramblings and tangents around French finals before these gentlemen go and compete, and I sit at home. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one.
bye.
Bye!